Good evening. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to a very special Friday forum. We are meeting here today to commemorate as well as celebrate a dear friend, a great artist, and a wonderful human being, Astad Deboo. I have many people to thank. I'm not going to start a long list, but the most important person is Dadi Padamji. Uh, it is thanks to him that we have seen this old VHS revived just in time. And of course, I have to thank also Gulshan and Astad, as well as Narendaji and so many other people who have contributed to this evening. Before I start, I want to make an appeal. GeoParsi and Parzor started the Friday forums during the lockdown, during a time when it was only the arts which kept our hopes alive. Dancers, actors, puppeteers, musicians. And we tried in a very small way to help them get some notice during this difficult time. The difficult time is not over. While the rest of the world has huge foundations for the arts, our own artists in India have suffered a great deal. And I would appeal to all those of you who are here with us today to think about any way in which you can still help. Because this is something from the bottom of my heart, may I please appeal to all of us in this audience today and those who will hear this afterwards to think about our artists and try to find ways that in the future at least they do not have to suffer. I know how much Astad did, how much of his life he has spent on a shoestring budget doing such fabulous work. And I honor him for that. I honor all those who are with us here today who have helped us put this show together because they are also honoring the arts. With that, may I please ask Gulshan to come on. Gulshan is Astad's sister, best friend, fellow adventurer, and of course, a person who knows all the stories about how he jumped out of trees and tried to leap for ponds before he was really ready. Gulshan, may I welcome you and thank you so much and your family, especially Xerxes and Zen, for helping us put this program together. Gulshan Debu.
Thank you, Shanesh. Where does one start when we talk about Astad? You know, these are some of our childhood memories because it all started here in Jamshedpur where we grew up. And that's Astad with his broken arm falling down from the tree, and my sister trying to help him, of course, but that they didn't succeed. And he fell down and he broke his arm. And that's little Groucho means in the middle of them. And that's our little dog, Rexy. We are all dog lovers, as you can see. The next picture has got my sister Kamal. That's our house there. We had a lovely garden. That's my mother and my. Can you see the my father? So we are all dog lovers. It's a very interesting story where Anyways, and Astad used to be one person who used to sort of allow the dogs to lick him all over his face. I think he's the only person whom I know who allowed the dogs to lick him all over his face. I don't think anybody else did that. So we had a very nice little happy childhood. As I said, we grew up in Jamshedpur, and everybody wants to know as to how did it all start, and did your parents sort of object to it, and where did it go? That's our Navjot photograph. That's me, and that's Astad, my father, my mother, all the entire family. It was a big thing where people came from Navsari, where people came from Mao, where my father grew up. People came from Calcutta. So yeah, you can see the Navjot Mubarak, which is written there. And yeah, so this is where it all started. This is when he went abroad in 1969. This was in Calcutta, where he leaves for his adventures, and I am not there, as you can see. And my parents were very happy, very proud that he was going abroad. He was going to do it on his own steam, and so, so I feel that okay, and that's Khorshid and Homi Vakil, my brother's godparents, as they were lovingly called. Homi Vakil's sister used to be Nini, used to be in Jamshedpur, and then Nini told Astad to get in touch with her brother in Mumbai, and that is how they came to know each other. And they took him under his wing and extremely, extremely fond of him. And I just last month I spoke to Daulat, their housekeeper, and she said the first thing Astad would do was go straight into the kitchen to find out what the exotic food was being churned out from the Vakil's kitchen. And Jilu, their daughter, also told me that as a child, she used to come from school and she used to see Astad practicing him, practicing, and that is how long their connection was. Jilu also told me that her parents helped a lot of people, including Astad, but it was Astad who was with them right till the end, till their last moments. So that was Astad, ladies and gentlemen. Astad was a loving, compassionate, there he is with his friends. That's Bharti, a very, very dear friend, uh, right again from college days. Bharti and Astad uh, used to attend Japanese classes here in Mumbai. And this again is in the 80s, and their relationship goes back right from the 80s to till the present. And this is Asad's, one of Asad's friends, Charlie Brown, T-shirt, etc. So coming, yeah. So that's Homi and Astad at one of the functions, some Navjot or Lagan, I don't know, but Homi and were very, very close to him. So Astad was this, kind, loving, generous. He had his relations right from his early days to date. He kept in touch with everybody, never forgot anybody. As I said, he had this super memory, and I keep telling everybody that he did not forget anything. The good, the bad, the ugly. Yeah, but he never forgot. And the good, of course, was more. And he used to remember people on their anniversaries, on their birthdays. I mean, he gave his whole thing to his friends, to his people. That's him, always happy and smiling and fun guy. He loved life. Uh, Besides his serious work, that was his bread and butter. He loved dancing. Dancing was in his blood. He used to go to, in the 80s when he came back, he used to go to the discotheques, he used to go to the pub, he used to be out rollicking and dancing the whole evening. So it used to be that, Asad we would be having dinner and he would come and he said, bye everybody, I'm going off. And you said, where are we going? And he'd say, go to some disco or to some, those were the days when the discotheques was there, Blow Up was there, Studio 29 was, Studio 24, 29, that was there. So all these things, yeah, that's again him being crazy. And he traveled a lot, he nurtured a lot. Japan was again a very favorite destination of Astad's. So he started hitchhiking. He left the shores of Mumbai in 69 till he came back in 72 to attend my sister's wedding, and he then went back again and he returned in 78. During his travels, he traveled all over the world. He absorbed, he watched, he studied, he performed, he gathered everything, he absorbed everything. And then when he came to India, he wanted to give the people, he wanted to show the people what he had seen, what he had learned, what he had observed. His performances were extraordinary. Oh, I think that's a wedding photograph for my sister's wedding. That's where he is from his hitchhiking dates. that's me, and that's him, and the others in the background. And that's in one of his travels. And that's another picture of his with his two nephews, Zaxis and Danish. Danish today is in Australia. He lives in Alice Springs in Australia, extremely close to their mama. He was referred to as, I mean, he was called Astad Mama, and I was Vasi. So very close knitted. I mean, he was very close to his family. I mean, he looked after, yeah, he had, yeah, uh, looked after us, whatever, loved us, everything. And that's us. Yeah, that's my mother. That's my sister Kamal. That's us at the back. This was in Jamshedpur in our house. Yeah, and I think he's leaving because you can see that bag there. That's my father at the back. That's me. That's my brother-in-law Jimmy. That little chimpy-looking fellow is Danish, and the other one is Zaxis. Yeah. So this is during his travels in and out. So he was more in. No, he was more out than in. And this is Kathakali. He came back and he went to Kerala and he studied under Guru Panika for a year, studying Kathakali because Sunil Kothari. See, unfortunately, Sunil Kothari also passed away recently. And it was Sunil Kothari who told him, seeing your body, seeing your physique, seeing your movement, seeing your energy that you have in you, it would be nice if you study Kathakali. And then in his later, in his Thanadabofia, you see the Kathakali forms coming in the Abhanaya, in the mudras, in the rasas, and then you see have the rhythm of Kathak coming in. So the twirls that you see later on in his dances and his performances come from Kathak. Everybody feels that it came from the Sufi dancers, but no, it came from our Kathak, which he sort of honed in, and then he used to do his. Firoza Godrej told me she counted once some 80 to 100 chakras, which I don't know. Okay, that's us again. That's Astad in his sadra. That's me, and that's little Zaxis. Yeah, and this is, I think this looks like Shamsali. I don't know where this is, and I will not comment on my ignorance. Yeah. So that's him doing in one of his travels abroad. Yeah, yeah, and that's in Japan again. That would be, and this one of his in his kimono. You can see he had his kimono. So this is one of his innumerable travels. He traveled in some 70 odd countries, absorbing everything, and which we later on see in his work. As you can see, in all his pictures, happy, smiling, fun-loving guy. I mean, life was what? Life is an old chum. Yeah. So, I mean, happy man. He loved life. He lived life. Yeah, that's him. So, two passions, I would say. One was his dance, and the other was traveling. As a kid, he always used to say, "I will join." Or what would you like to be when you grow up? Dance hadn't sort of appeared as a profession or a thing, as they said, and he said, "I would like to join the merchant navy." Now, why the merchant navy? Because merchant navy, he had this thing that once you join the merchant navy, you see the world, because the sailors travel around the world and dock at different ports in different countries, and that's how was his concept of seeing the world. And he did that. He traveled abroad everywhere, and he climbed mountains, he climbed treks, and he loved perching himself up on the high walls, parapets. He did that in China, on the Great Wall of China. He did it here at Champaner, on the forts of Champaner. Then he did it in Jodhpur, at the ramparts of Jodhpur. So this obsession that he had, I don't know what it was, even at the NGMA gallery in Mumbai, where he would sort of, everybody was kind of awestruck, spellbound as to what is he going to do next. He used to hold his audiences enthralled. I mean, I don't recollect in any of his performances, anybody coughing, sure sign of boredom, somebody coughing. So that he never, everybody was. And then later on, he used to get his, always he got his standing ovations. And then I always used to tease him, I said, okay, so how many standing ovations did you get this time? So it became a foregone conclusion that after every performance, he would get his standing ovations, and his sense of music. His music was awesome. I don't know where he got his ideas. So once I asked him, I said, "You get your ideas from the music, or you hear the music and then you ideas." And he didn't have any. He didn't have any reply to them because according to him, that was a stupid question because it's like asking what came first, the chicken or the egg, that kind of a thing. So, but deeply engrossed his music, his lighting, his sets, his design. It was a collaboration. It's not that he did it single-handedly, but this he had seen abroad. The professionalism, this he had seen in every country, and he brought it here to India to enjoy the same. So that was our start, like a sponge. He took in everything, and what he didn't like, he discarded. He said that he went abroad to study school. He didn't make it, but he studied the technique. He joined I can't remember. He joined Philobulus. He joined all that. So everything what he learned. He also studied under Pina Bausch. Yeah, at Wuppertal in Germany. So all these things.
सारे लोग पहुंचे नहीं हैं सबका मैसेज आ रहा है
Right?
Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Gulshan.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Gulshan.
Thank you.
I'm going to, as you say, he traveled everywhere. And when you think of Deboo Street in Navsari, and then when you think of Asha Kullawala, an absolute name among names for all of us growing up, it's such a long journey, and he did it so gracefully. I believe Asha is here with us today from New York. May I invite her, please, to share her memories about Astad? I know how much he loved her and how much she influenced him. Asha, welcome. Asha, can you hear me? Asha, can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can. Aren't you going to play the video?
Sure, we'll play the video. Would you like to say something first? Okay.
This is for my friend Astad Deboo. Beautiful dancer, passionate, committed.
It's not loud enough.
Completely to his dancing. One time I was upset with what people were saying, and he said to me, "What do you care? What do you care? How can you let that block your dancing? You really want to dance, just do it." And that's what he did. Things weren't easy for him. He kept going. He was like that battery that never stops. I totally admired his commitment and his continuous involvement with what he was doing. He worked with a lot of people, different types of artists, painters, musicians, with all kinds of different ideas. His puppets with Dadi Patanji. In a way, the Manipuri artists, in a way, his work was placed him in a variety of contexts, and there was something consistent about his work, despite all that. In one way, I found him contextless, because he was one of those people that you would run into in New York, in Germany, in Chicago, anywhere. And he was the same. He was himself. Very creative, thinking on his feet. And he would come up with wonderful responses to different situations that he would be in. As a friend, he was generous. He helped me with my costumes. He helped me with music. He gifted me with all kinds of beautiful memories of visits. For example, when my baby was born, he came bearing gifts and surprised me with his relationship to my little one. So he was a very good friend. It'll be hard to get used to the idea that he's not around. I have to share the first time I met him. That was in 1967. And I was auditioning dancers for my choreography, The Joyous Cosmology. And there was this one dancer who started spinning around with his arms up and just in total abandonment. And of course, he had to be in my piece, and that was Astad Deboo. And this spinning, he has never stopped. It's still a motif that comes up again and again in his choreography. And those of you who have seen him perform many times in different situations will probably have noticed. Most recently, it was the Sufi dances that he was doing. And as he aged, his dancing got richer, more complex, more sophisticated, more nuanced, more structured, and deeper. May he just spin on and on. That's how I see him. Astad Deboo.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Asha Uttara Kurawala. Would you like to say anything else about Astad?
Anything else?
He loved you dearly, that we all know.
No, I also loved him dearly because every time he would come to New York, he would visit me. Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Yes. He would visit, he would bring me all the news. And every time I came to Mumbai, I would call him and he would give me all the news. And we were supposed to go see a concert together. And I couldn't make it because of my cousins. And he told me afterwards it was terrible anyway. It was very sweet that way.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing your memories. And now I'm going to take us into the world of salt and pepper, Dadi and Astad. Like salt and pepper, they couldn't do without each other, and they never managed to do properly with each other. It was always a battle, a ding-dong battle going on and on with us in the middle. Dadi, thank you so much for all that you have pulled out from suitcases and cupboards, and welcome, because I know that you and Astad were really very, very close. Dadi, may I introduce you to Dadi Padamji? I don't think anybody needs an introduction to Dadi, but as Asha said, he and Astad were together for so many years and so many performances. Dadi Padamji.
Hi. Shahnaz is quite right. The salt and pepper was in the last, I think, 9-10 years. Not pepper, it was really chili pepper, let's say. When we were thinking of this Parzor memory to Astad, I started mentioning to our group that the most beautiful one has been recently done in Mumbai with people he knew, his dancers, everybody speaking. And I said, maybe let's celebrate some of the quirkiness, some of the madness, some of the contradictions, as the text said in the Parzor thing, because every artist has many sides. Okay, there are very few, including me. All of us have. So I first met Astad in the early 80s when he came to the Sri Ram Center to perform with the first group. You know, Fali Unwala, Ratan, all these people were there. Nadina. And since then it carried on, and I think it was in 87 or 88 that we first collaborated. I don't have pictures, but this piece, it was called Friends. It was a piece with a stud and a large puppet. He traveled with it. It was a 15-minute piece, an experiment. And the idea that Astad got, and which came true eventually in the end, is about two friends, and the movements are synchronized, the large puppet and the dancer, and then the human being tries to take over the puppet, and then the puppet realizes its strength and flings the human being out, and then they try to come together at the end, but there's a distance. And actually this is where it ended in some ways. It ended because it storm in a teacup. I call my Astad used to always find out about what Dadi and Ishara are doing, and Ishara people would always try to find out what Astad. And there were these middle group, I call them the Saket Times or the VV Times, which used to pass on some of the news, including one who's sitting in the car there, Pawan. And they used to, that was where the line used to go, okay, in log kahan ja rahe, travel kar rahe, acha kahan ja rahe, kaun sponsor kar raha hai, sponsor kaun kar raha was always the important part. But it was fun, and it was madness. It was a storm in a teacup. And it all started very interestingly when there was a photograph with Astad and all the SVT dancers in a swimming pool somewhere. I don't know where it was. And we were all driving. Astad was in the car. And I just did a big, and that was the day when everything went wrong. Astad went to Sanjoy Roy, and it carried on, and it just rubbish. Anyway, but the interesting thing with Astad was that as much as we are smiling and happy, behind us or in us, there is a lot of strength, a lot of sorrow, a lot of difficulty. Astad was always having a problem to get a stage, to get sponsors, to get people. And sometimes in the early days when we spoke about this, I said, but Astad, this is the line we chose. Okay, nobody is going to, nobody forced us into this art world, and you make your own way. And Astad did make his own way. Almost 365 days of a year, he would be performing in some country, as Asha said. In fact, it was Asha who first got him maybe the if I'm not mistaken, at Martha Graham School in New York, long ago. That's what I read. And that's how Astad hitchhiked from Bombay, Mumbai to Tehran, and slowly somewhere else, and visas, and then he landed up, and then he went on to many other courses. So this thing still follows us. In fact, even more so, as Shana said, these days, because of the pandemic. I mean, we've just lost all our performing spaces. We've lost our sponsors. And even when they come out of the blue now, after the pandemic is over, nobody's going to necessarily spend on art. And I'm sorry to say that even our own academies and governments have had very little help for our artists in India. It has been more civil society, it has been NGOs, it has been people who have been, helping. And anyway, life goes on, we can't grumble, we have to see the end of the tunnel. The two pieces which we collaborated on were Friends, and the other one was Thanatomorphia, or the Many Faces of Death, where death as a lover, death as a dancer, and death as a liberator. And we traveled with that, the first group, and then Faridun, who everybody knows as Dodo, is also online. And when we went to South America, this was a piece where actors, dancers, and puppeteers came together. I think there were 5 or 6 of us, and the main people behind his work, unfortunately, I don't think they're online today, is Ratan and Banu Batliboy from Bombay, who right from the beginning, and then Sunil Shanbag and others, who right in the beginning helped him with his technical, backstage, lights, sets, moral support, pushing, and cooking on tours. I mean, I remember Astad would always cook his 100, what is it called? 100 badam ni chicken or 100 bada kaju ni chicken. Everywhere we'd go, at someone's house, we had to select these exact 100 cashew nuts, and there would be this heavy white chicken that he would cook, and everyone would love it. And he loved cooking, and he loved, entertaining. So this was that part. Here is a program from that I think it was the Mexico performance, where, as you see, use world music. Eventually, in the end, music was getting composed for his pieces. This is the piece where Faridoon is there. As you see, Shahnaz is most embarrassed to say Dodo, but if you see the credit, it just said Dodo Bujwala. And yeah, Gulshan was also there on this tour. Shelke, R.S. Shelke, an NSD graduate teacher from Mumbai. Puran Bhatt, a very well-known Rajasthani puppeteer, Astad. So yeah, there were lots of incidents. In the beginning, you will see some of them with Rani, the lady at Auroville, who he started recollecting his old pieces. There were a lot of dushum. There were a lot of things which were totally different from towards the end. And as we grow, I think we mature and our performances or our pieces become more introspectful. They're not, I wouldn't be able to do what I did 10, 15 years ago. And they went slower. And as he said, the whirling started. And as Gulshan said, it was not the dervishes, but it was Kathak. And everybody would be in awe. 100, today he did 150. And I remember that was another incident which Parzor said you cannot speak about, but without mentioning names, I'm going to say it was very interesting. He was the chief guest and other people, and it was an open air show, and he kept whirling. And there was this fabulous sit down Parsi Khana in Delhi, which was catered by Josh from Bombay. And the main chief guest suddenly said, "I'm getting a headache. Ask him to stop turning round and round and round." And the Parzor people had to say, please, ma'am, just stop. Don't worry. He will stop any moment and then you'll have dinner. No, stop. These were all the backstage things which you'll never see on stage when performances happen. But there were many such incidents. And then he worked with some of our puppeteers, Salam Balak Trust kids, and all of us, when we come to Delhi, as I came in 1980 to Delhi, we come with our bastard, sort of Hindi, Marathi, English, Parsi mix, which we use, and it's total chaos. The language that we use in Bombay, kanda papita, lehengo is a pajama, here it is a skirt. So it makes real faux pas at rehearsals, and you cannot imagine how people laugh. But then slowly that changes. In fact, there is a little takeoff, which a very close friend who works with us from Salam Balak Trust, who worked with us as well. His name is Pankaj, and you will see a little takeoff on a rehearsal. Here, there was we didn't have mobiles at that point, or computers. Banu Bhate Boy painted these T-shirts for the group. They were hand-painted T-shirts, and I found them. No, she has them. She doesn't have them, and I found them while shifting home here. So the Thanatomorphia tour, and the last one, the blue one with this abstract figure, was eventually a logo as well. These were all hand-painted, and yeah, we wore them on tour. Today it's all computerized and digitally printed. Thanatomorphia, the pictures which were taken as press things. Again, these were all 89, if I'm not mistaken, 89, 90. And here's Pankaj's rehearsal take. I hope you can hear it well.
हेलो, मेरा नाम है पंकज गुप्ता और अस्ताद से मुझे कभी कभार प्यार से गुप्ता या गुप्ता जी भी बोलते थे। और मैं सन 2008 से 2013 तक सर के साथ एक्टिवली काम कर रहा था, डांस कर रहा था। और उसके बाद भी सर से, जब भी सर दिल्ली आते थे या मैं मुंबई कभी जाता था, तो सर से मिलना होता ही रहता था। तो मैं आपके साथ में कुछ जो हम रिहर्सल क्या करते थे उस दौरान जो छोटे छोटे किस्से होते थे वो शेयर करने जा रहा हूँ। तो क्योंकि सर का स्टाइल बहुत यूनिक था, बहुत डिफरेंट था और डिफिकल्ट था, तो शुरू में तो हमको समझ में नहीं आता था कि सर का डांस कैसा है। तो हम सब अपनी अपनी पोजीशन में होते थे, कुछ कुछ कर रहे हैं और अपने अपनी कर रहे हैं, और सबके मन में एक ही डर होता था कि किसी से कोई गलती ना हो जाए। अगर किसी से गलती हो गई तो बस सब कांप जाया करते थे। तो कई बार ऐसा होता था कि हम लोग अपनी प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं और एकदम से किसी से गलती हो गई और सर एकदम चिल्लाते थे, थापा रोई ढंग से करो, मैं कह देता हूँ, कितनी बार बताऊंगा आपको मैं, इधर आओ। एंड रोहित और थापा को पता है कि अब उनको पिटना है, ये उनका रिचुअल है। तो वो आया करते थे, मार खाई और जाकर फिर से पोजीशन पे खड़े हो जाया करते थे। तो इस बात पे हम बड़ा मजाक बनाया करते थे। और हमारे ग्रुप में एक लड़का था, तो अक्सर वो लूज अंडरवियर पहनता था। तो अक्सर जब डांस करते हैं, कूदते हैं, तो हमारे प्राइवेट पार्ट्स काफ़ी मूव करते हैं। तो उसका कुछ ज़्यादा ही मूव कर रहा था। तो एक दिन सर ने बोला, ये क्या कर रखा है आपने, ये कैसे अंडरवियर पहना है आपने, आपकी दोनों गोलियां हिल रही हैं, संभालो अपने सामान को, मैनर सीखो आप लोग, बता देता हूं मैं। सर बात तो ठीक कहते थे, लेकिन कभी कभी थोड़ा ज्यादा गुस्सा हो जाया करते, तो हम लोग बड़ा डरते थे। लेकिन सर प्यार भी बहुत करते थे। हमारे ग्रुप में एक लड़की थी मंजू, तो हमारे पहले प्रोडक्शन में ब्रेकिंग बाउंड्रीज में एक कोई स्टेप था 1 2 3 4 समथिंग लाइक दिस। सो वो कुछ समझ में नहीं आया उसको, क्योंकि स्टेप भी थोड़े यूनिक थे। तो वो कुछ यूं कर रही थी, तो एकदम सर आए और सर ने बोला, मंजू तुम ये क्या कर रही हो, लो में आई, लो में आई, लो में आई, ठीक से करो ना, मैं आपको बता ही देता हूं, ढंग से करो, नहीं तो बस मैं बंद कर दूंगा इसको। रोहित तुम भी पासपोर्ट बनवाओ, अगले साल हमको बाहर जाना है, हाँ, नहीं तो हम चले जाएंगे जहाज में, आप बस बैठे रहिएगा यहाँ पर, मैं कह देता हूँ। तो हम सब कलुआ बड़ा डर जाया करते थे। एंड अक्सर सर हमको रिहर्सल के बाद या खासकर शो के बाद में किसी बड़े होटल में, ताज में या कहीं खाना खिलाने ले जाते थे। और सर की खासियत थी कि सर अपनी प्लेट नहीं लेते थे अक्सर, तो सबके साथ में घूम घूम कर गुप्ता जी क्या खा रहे हैं, और सब उनको सबको प्यार से खिलाया करते थे। एंड एक बार डिनर के बाद मैंने कुछ मीठा लिया था, स्पंज, तो मैं खा रहा था, सर आए, गुप्ता जी क्या खा रहे हैं, मैंने कहा सर ये स्पंज है सर, आप लेंगे। तो सर ने मेरे कान में कहा, मेरे 2 हैं, मैं अपने खा चुका हूँ, ये आप खाइए। मैं था ये सर ने क्या बोला, समझ में नहीं आया। तो ऐसे सर कभी एक बार थोड़ा सा एडल्ट मजाक भी करते थे, लेकिन एक माहौल को हल्का रखने के लिए। एंड सर चले गए, सर हमारे बीच में नहीं है। ये सारी मजाक की बातें हैं, लेकिन सर ने जो हमको दिया है उसके लिए सर का जितना शुक्रिया अदा किया जाए वो कम होगा। सर का प्यार हमेशा हमारे साथ में रहेगा, और जो सर के जाने के बाद जो खालीपन है वो तो रहेगा, मैं मानता हूँ वो रहेगा, और उसको रहने में कोई बुराई भी नहीं है। बस सर जहाँ भी हो खुश रहें और अपना प्यार हमको वहाँ से भी देते रहें। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much.
That was Pankaj, and one of the rehearsal takes, all of them are giggling and laughing, the dancers. You would see some of the work in the end. And just this morning at one of my rehearsals, one of our puppeteers was feeling very upset because the other puppeteer who was directing him was, getting very angry on him. You're forgetting every time I have to remind you. And I brought this incident of Astad. I said, look, if you've seen a rehearsal which Astad did, he would scream and shout, gali, whatever, but he never meant it. He would say that it's a rehearsal. That's it. Don't take it personally. If you take things personally, you're not going to grow. And that's very important, what you see. And it was one of these takeoffs also that Pankaj had done ages ago, and Astad wasn't there, and there were some friends, and he took a rehearsal takeoff. Another one, and when Astad found out, he was so upset that, how could he do this in front of... Anyway, yesterday, with great difficulty, I asked Pankaj, listen, Pankaj, Gulshan is there, the sister, and we are all seeing the fun side and the different sides of an artist. It's not just one side that we always see. So please, nobody is going to get offended. So thank you, Pankaj. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dadi. And thank you, Pankaj. It's really nice of both of you all to have worked this out. And a little more of the Hindi Gujarati would have been interesting, but Dadi still does that, so it's great fun. Many, many years ago in the 70s, I'd heard about Dhan Edenwala's school in Calcutta and a young dancer who had done the miraculous job of teaching children who could not hear how to dance. Sandeep Kadia from the group has sent this note, which on his behalf I'm reading out for you as you watch the action players of Calcutta and their memories of Astad. Time flies quickly and so do memories, but Astad Deboo's memories never fade away. We first met when I was in the action players group with Miss Zareen Chowdhury. He looked so charming and gracious. It was probably his first time working with deaf actors. Nevertheless, he took the challenge and involved us. I was always in awe of his admirable dances. I am grateful to him because of the fact that he involved us in his performances, helped us become successful. Some famous and amazing people came to watch our shows too. We traveled around India and Washington, D.C. for a YSP at the Gauntlet University with the action group, and every performance with him was a smash hit. I spent some of the best moments of my life with him. His warm smile would energize me after a tiring day, particularly after we had worked hard all day to perfect the dance routines. We all miss him, but he hasn't left us. He will always remain in our hearts. He inspires me to this day. He has always said he would continue dancing till his death. My condolences to his family. I'm really sorry for your loss. Let us all pray that his soul rests in peace. Sandeep Kedia. Thank you, Sandeep. It's very, very kind of you to have shared this with us. And now I would like to introduce Faridun Bhujwala. I really can't call him Dodo, but he's popularly known as Dodo. And he is a famous person who should be more famous because he's been so important in the Bombay art scene for so many decades. Uh, he worked with Astad in this Wings of Fire dance. Wings of Fire was a movie made on the Zoroastrians, and this dance was choreographed by Astad and features Faridun. Faridun, may I invite you on, or can we see the clip first?
Show
Mata?
the clip. Fine, fine. Show the clip.
Okay.
Sharon. Thanks, Shanaz, for that intro. Oh,
Oh,
what's happening?
I don't know. I think they want to make sure that we see your handsome face.
Well, it's one of those blurry things where we were just like part of the, I don't know, part of the scenery actually. So yeah, it was funny because being a dancer, I met Astad actually when I wasn't dancing. I just finished school. Strangely enough, I had trekked all the way to that Ravindra Prasad Auditorium in Dadar, which no one really went to in the 70s. And it was Pina Bausch, I think, doing the Rites of Spring. And it was really wild because suddenly halfway through the piece, they all stripped and were naked. And the mass exodus and everybody left. And there were about 7 of us left in the auditorium. And that's when I met Astad coming out. I was just finished school. I think it was 77, 78. And I was looking for the bus stop. And that's when we met and came home. And he used to borrow music from me and sometimes forget to return albums. And that used to really piss me off. So as a Parsi, I'm a collector and I have my books and my music. And if you take 10 albums, I expect 10, if not 11 back, but there'll be 1 or 2 missing. I say, where's my Sandstorm? Where's my Mozart? Oh, no, it's coming, it's coming, it's coming. So, and yeah, so then I first saw him dance actually with Uttara, who I love and respect also very dearly. And that was at Bulabai Desai Auditorium, which is no more. And it was really fabulous contrast to the two of them. And I remember sitting at the very edge of my seat because Astad was wearing these harem pants. And suddenly one of the elastics at the bottom of the harem pant came off. And I'm like, oh my God, he's going to trip. Oh my God, he's going to trip. But he always had that edge to him. I remember another show of his at Prithvi. I used to follow his shows all the time. I became a dancer much later. And at Prithvi, he sort of leapt off the stage. Or I think it was on the stage, but he landed in this woman's lap in the first. And she just screamed. It was one of these sort of nice little ethnic aunties who had no idea what was coming on. So yeah, there's like lots of fun and crazy memories. Then of course we did the odd dances together. We hardly did much on stage except for Thanamotomorphia. We did this film and one other ad-like thing, I think. We danced together with Farida Peda very strangely at the Taj Ballroom. So we did like a jazz number. I think it was Applause by who's Applause? Applause. It's wonderful applause. It's thunderous applause. Whatever you do, you'll have to be better with applause. And lucky strike with him was traveling to South America and going all over the place. But not so lucky strike is because I'm the crazy, mad Baba, maverick, a rule unto myself. And Astad would come shrieking at me at 6 o'clock in the morning because he discovered I'd just come back from a nightclub all night. And instead of being in bed, I was there upside down. I do my yoga naked. It's my room. What's your problem? Bichara Daddy was there hiding under the blanket because there was this screaming competition going on between Astad. I said, but I'm upside down. Let me finish my yoga. I'll be in time for rehearsal. No worries. So he was like this elder trying to sober me down. And my poor mother's tried that for 50 years. It hasn't worked. So 3 weeks in South America wasn't going to happen. Another funny thing was, wild as he was, I think I pushed the envelope too much because the last we spent time together in Goa for a friend's wedding. And of course, I had a dhoti with my trekking shoes and Zara shirt. He's like, can't you wear a kurta and murderies? I said, no, I can't. How can I? I don't know, there's something going ping, ping. Can you all hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
There's something white. Okay, lovely.
You're fine.
So somehow, though we had a strange love-hate relationship because he knew I was always going to push the envelope and jump off on the wrong side of the bus. And I've been doing that all my life. It's an innate alternative gene which I was born with. Thank you, mom and dada. But bichara, they thought I'm a changeling. And so did Asta. Is like, how can you do that? I mean, like, just like how I just did it. I mean, what was wrong with it? So when we dance together, he'd say like M car. So I M car was saying like M na tem. And I'm like, what about what? Which is M and tem now, you know?
Thank you so much, Faridun. It's been.
Thanks, Shanaz.
Sorry, I am supposed to call you Dodo according to Dadi, but until we meet, I won't do that. And now I'm going to take us to another person who has been wonderful and who actually had an idea during lockdown of having Astad, Adil, Dadi, Baman. Who else was it, Adil? I think, of course, Kama putting it all together.
A, B, C, D, E. All the names.
A, B, C,
And
D.
Baman Irani, C is you, Kama.
Yes. And
Dadi.
And D is, of course, Dadi. And, of course, Ashdeen, who is going to come in. Also.
Lots of A's. Ashdeen.
Kambata. Yes, that's
We were all supposed to do a show together. And Astad was supposed to twirl around and he hated the idea. So it never happened.
I know. But still, we've got this thanks to you, Adil, and please do take over and tell us about the wonderful times Astad used to have with you in Auroville and how much salt and pepper was there, because obviously Dodo and Dadi have rubbed him up lots of times. So let's see what you managed to do.
No. He used to come for brief visits. So there was not too much peppery stuff going on. There are some videos coming up of people he knew in Auroville too. And I met him at one of the performances here for the first time. I had seen him in Bombay on stage all the time, so he was always there. But here he was like in my studio, first time with someone. And he would actually want to meet our friend Nargis Pesi Kaka, who was, I don't know, 10 years ago, in her late 80s. She passed away a few years back at the age of 97. Nargis grew up on Princess Street. And somehow Astad knew her. So before he would say hi to me, he would show up and say, Chal apne Nargis ne malwa jaye. You know, so it was like that. So his Auroville chapter started when he met my friend Tapas Bhatt in Paris. So there's a video coming up of that, and then we take it from there.
Hi Tapas, this is Tapas Bhatt from Auroville. And she will share some insights about how she first met Astad in Paris, was it? And what year and how you finally connected with him to bring him to India, to Auroville. Yes. Okay, so
I was on behalf of the Embassy of India, where I worked as a cultural attaché. I was invited to attend the International Contemporary Dance Festival in Paris, where I met for the first time an Indian contemporary dancer, that too a male dancer, Astad Deboo. And I was very, very honored to meet him and happy to discover a contemporary dancer. And knowing Auroville myself from long time, I invited him to come and contact me in Auroville whenever he comes to perform for the dance festival in Chennai. So he came to perform for Anita Ratnam in the International Dance Festival in December.
Okay.
So that time he contacted me and I organized a show for him in the auditorium. It was the first event, even for the international community of Auroville. I wanted the Auroville to know that we have contemporary dancers of the scale of international quality as Astad Deboo. So his show happened in the auditorium and it was house full.
This was 1991.
Between 1990 and 91, I don't remember the date.
Okay. So then when he came to Auroville later, he came with other groups and other troops.
Yeah, from his first show, he kept in touch till his last day, constant touch with Auroville, bringing new works. Unfortunately, the last 10 years we couldn't get him back because we had no more budget.
But he's come here.
He's been coming on his personal capacity.
He's not performed.
And so actually, one of the other important events that happened, he brought the Deaf and Dumb School from Washington, D.C. He toured with them all over India. And he brought them first to Auroville.
And the first show was with Dadi, Padamji.
The first show with Dadi with his big puppeteers.
Yes. That was 91, 92 sometime. Okay.
Dadi, yeah. And we were very happy to discover Dadi also. And he did give a workshop on the puppeteers in Auroville schools and outreach schools of Auroville in the villages around. That was very educative.
We have to get Dadi back.
We have to get that back. Surely we can do one show in the memory of the Astad.
I have been wanting to do a collaborative show with Dadi, making clay puppets.
And Anita.
Anita Ratnam.
We can. Unfortunately, she takes over.
Alright.
But that would be nice. And also we bring them to Dakshina.
Okay.
So whenever Dadi and Astad came, I always made.
Okay, so that was Tapas who introduced Auroville to us. And this is Rani Nair from Sweden all the way. I'm not sure if Rani is here live, but we have a video of her speaking about the time when she came here with Astad, with a friend Marco. And she was doing some sort of collaborative retrospective work of compiling Astad's early works. I'll let Rani take over here.
Time we met was when we were in Auroville working together with Astad Deboo, and we were working on a performance together. And at Auroville at Adishakti, it was the first time we shared something for an audience. And we were working on Astad's early avant-garde work from the 70s, 80s. Things from his repertoire that was never recorded. So it was amazing to see Astad give glimpses from the past. And I thought it was amazing because I've heard so much about this legendary dancer performer, but I never actually saw anything until we started working together. But it was also quite amazing because at Adishakti, there were people sitting in the audience who actually saw Astad perform his early work. So it's a very rare and precious moment for us to have someone in the audience who saw Astad from that time. And we continued working together, and Astad and me, we had a premiere here of the work which we called An Evening with Astad. And later we were invited to Munich to perform in a conference that discussed post-migrant dance. And last year we just got some funding to bring the show to India. And we were very excited. But, however, the pandemic situation didn't make it possible for us to come. And instead we were going to do it next year. So I'm very sad that we were not able to do that. And now I'm looking for partnerships or places that are interested to host a show that would make Astad Deboo's archival early works come alive. Thank you for making me think of Astad and talk about him today. Take care. Bye.
Thank you, Rani. There's a clip of Astad and Rani working together.
And also some turnings or spinning.
Right. Yeah. That comes from Qatar.
Yeah.
Really discovered in the disco in Mexico.
Yeah.
You know, I was I'm a big disco person, you know. Yes, I started to spin. Now, in our Indian classical dance techniques, in the Kathak technique, the dancer would go tig-da-dig-dig-tay, 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 tay, tay, tay. So it would be 30 seconds, 40 seconds today. They may take the spin to 1 minute. But I sort of discovered, while spinning, slowly, that my momentum started and I could really, you know, move and spin. And what has now become, in the course of these years, spinning has become a signature of my work. But the spinning what I do now is very different from the spinning I did in Mexico. So let's sort of roll the ball back.
Thank you, Donna Saman. What do we have next, Madhav?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We've got some pictures here with Rani. That was fabulous, really.
When they were Radhi Shakti, Marco was with us.
They were
He come down with Rani, and the three of them were traveling together. I'll let Marco speak.
places in the world we met.
Belgrade.
First time in Lund, and then all over the world. And I knew from the start that he's a person to laugh with. And we did. We laughed a lot. And I also was immediately impressed how dedicated he was to an art of dancing. And beyond any modesty, like, he was so dedicated, and it gave me courage to see a dancer who works with such a dignity, and I was so impressed and so encouraged that I feel now this strength. And then we met at many places, like in Malmö and in Frankfurt and in Adi Shakti, and I was meeting him last time in Munich for his birthday, and also I saw a show that he did with Rani, and I was so blessed to follow their archive all over the place and see how it grows and see them work. And we were talking about the show and celebrating his birthday, and saying goodbye and giving a last kiss to that gentle guy. And you know, death has a tendency to change memories and make them heavier sometimes, but with Astad, memories still are so beautiful. And when I found out about his passing, I woke up with the thought next morning, and it was so heavy, and the thought was, this is the first day since he passed, and it kind of promised a very bad and radically different day, you know, like something radically changed. And
Okay. Krishna is from Auroville. Carry on.
Hi. I first met Astad when I was a young dancer with Chandralekha in Chennai. He was really somebody who, you know, set a standard for us. This was, he had shown the way for contemporary dance and for contemporary dancers in India. Later, as I slowly got to know him as a person, not just as you know, a great dancer and a great choreographer who we all stood in awe of, and I grew to be very close to Astad. And there was one incident which really made me a great fan of his. And that was when we were all in Bangalore watching a retrospective of Mrinalini Sarabhai's work. Mrinalini was 84 years old, and there were really a lot of the top dancers and people in the field of dance and dance writing who made themselves present at this show in Bangalore. And Astad was there in the audience, and so was I. In the middle of the show, I suddenly was hit by, I don't know, some kind of attack of maybe even cholera, because I had to rush out, you know, vomiting, rush to the bathroom. It was a horrible situation. I was stunningly sick from one minute to the next. And there were a couple of other dancers from Delhi who were there in the audience, who came out and helped me. But Astad came out, and he was just so warm and loving and caring, and just I don't made sure I was taken care of and got back home. And for me, that was the kindness, the compassion that he had for somebody who was just, a young dancer for him, a friend of a friend maybe. Later on, when through the years we got to know each other better, and when I came to Auroville and Astad performed here, it was the best to meet up with him, to go for a meal with him, to catch up, to talk. And of course, I was really grateful that I was here in Auroville when he worked with Rani Nair in Adi Shakti on the retrospective she made of his work. And I feel really blessed that I saw that and I was just part of its process as a watcher. So,
thank you, Krishna.
Astad, you will be remembered. Thank you.
This is Aurelio from Auroville. Aurelio works with sound, and he was always there when Astad was here in Auroville. He has something very quick to say.
I'm speaking here from our sound garden in Swaram, and Astad has been here quite a few times actually. Whenever he had a performance in the south, he would come down to Auroville. And what I really remember and appreciate so much in him, it was the contact actually with our local artisans and with all the young artists and the dancers who were around, and how kind and caring he was for people, even all the craftspeople, and the interest he showed to them. And then actually I recall very much when we had the shift, once we went on the stage, on the sacred ground of the stage in the auditorium, he was this uncompromising, very powerful artist, and called everybody into discipline, and he didn't accept any games and faulty things and gossip or whatever what was happening, with the young people on stage. He said, that's a sacred place, and here we are fully concentrated, and if you want to work with me, that's what you're getting out of it. So for me it was so beautiful, that balance he had, that beautiful care and almost motherly side with them, and then this complete focused man in his arts. And that for me, actually, when I saw what effect it had on the young people, I said, that's what it needs both of those sides. So I'm really grateful for him, missing him a lot. He's always when he passed through, but actually I hope actually that his legacy lives on in those people he worked with and the aesthetics he manifested for all of us.
Thank you. That was sweet. Nargis, this is our favorite Nargis. I was always her boyfriend number 2. Astad was boyfriend number 1. And these two pictures are between 2014 and 2016 maybe, which is the last time he came down and Nargis was in her last year maybe. It was lovely. They used to talk about Bombay and Princess Street, and I'm not very sure how they were related. Maybe someone can tell us that. Anyways, that was Nargis. And this is when he came to my studio. I have a ceramic studio, Mandala Pottery in Auroville. And I have this thing called the visitor series where people who come down who have probably never worked with clay, I give them a lump of clay and I say, make something and leave your hand impressions on it. So he had come down with his whole troupe. There were like 15 of them in my studio. He made a few pieces and he said he's never worked with clay before. I fired these later. He had one of the largest signatures on the pieces of the visitor series. I found these today and I added these images. So these are works that he made, which I fired later. These are the works that his group made here. And it's nice to show them because if they're on the chat, this is all of them, and they were all making pieces here. It was great to have them. So I think that's his Auroville chapter.
Thank you so much, Adil. And we also have to
Oh yeah. And he would show up at every exhibition of mine in Bombay, telling me he's not going to be in town, and he would land up. This is at Dariba and Khorshid Pandol's Pandol Gallery for the collaboration show. And this was the last I met him in February at Gallery Art and Soul in Bombay at Tarana's place. And he had told me he was not in town, but he landed up there. And before I could see him, I heard this across the room, "Tu kem che," and that was it. I knew Astad was here. Thank you, Astad. He's watching.
I know. Thank you so much, Adil. And thank you also for doing that lovely poster out of that beautiful photograph you took with Astad. And thank you for all the effort you have done in putting all these interviews together. We're really grateful.
My pleasure.
There is a very short bit I want to say about Astad's association with Parzor. We tried to get him to dance for us, which we finally managed to do. But my association with him goes much before Parzor. 30 years ago, or 32 years ago, almost 33, when my son was born, Astad came to see the baby, and he sat on the swing outside with me, and I almost named my son Astad instead of Jahangir. This was 2006, when we had the Bombay Crafts Workshop, and his mother came, and Astad was so proud the first day when he came and saw our work. He said, "I have to bring my mother to see, for y'all to see her work and for her to see your work in reviving Parsi crafts." And this is Mrs. Rhoda Deboo at our workshop. She climbed those stairs at Kharegat Colony on her own, and she was as proud of Astad as Astad was of her. The last picture is of her showing embroidery work to some of the participants at that workshop. And the second time where we managed to get Astad and he wanted to work with us, I'll be showing you this. This is the last time we were together, Ashdeen, Astad and myself, at the reception for the Swedish King and Queen in Delhi. And of course, we three Parsis were running around trying to find the nicest snacks to eat. And Astad would yell across, "Iyan kai majeno che," so we'd go charging across over there. And Ashdeen was most worried I'd ruin his beautiful sari. So Ashdeen's going to tick me off for that in a minute. But Astad and we worked together in the Threads of Continuity. And he did this fabulous performance with us. And before that, I'm going to ask Ashdeen to speak about his relationship with Astad, because Ashdeen, the youngest of our group, is also a very, very dear and very great creative artist. Ashdeen, may I invite you?
Yeah, thank you so much. So if you see the image on the left, it's this model standing, and I'd seen this image in a magazine, and I kind of instantly loved it. And these were wonderfully taken by Farokh Chotia, and we'll see some more images. And as a student of design, I was mesmerized by the movement, by the color, the form, and I had pinned it up on my board in NID. And to my surprise, one day we were told Astad Deboo was coming and he was going to perform in NID. And in true Astad fashion, he came and he performed in front of this beautiful old monument at NID. And as Gulshan said, he loved keeping his audience mesmerized. So he started climbing the monument. And then there was one brick which fell, and we thought he was going to come down. But knowing Astad, he managed, he continued working, he continued dancing on the railings, etc. So and that's the first time I ran back to my room. I got the picture from the board and I got him to sign it. And then many years later in Bombay, I met him again and I told him about it. And he said he remembered. And slowly we became friends. I shifted to Delhi. And every time he'd come to Delhi, I'd get this call, Ashdin, Kem Chao, Su Chali Rauch. and we would speak about all the work which was happening, how my work was shaping up, and he was always extremely encouraging. And in the early days of my career, when I had no money for couriers and all, Astad would travel so often that I would always, if I had a show, I would call him up and say, "Are you going to Bangalore, or are you going here?" And he would be like, "Yes" and "No." And he would carry suitcases for me with like heavy suitcases full of saris. So I used to say, "You are my courier wala," like a very fancy courier wala. And slowly over the years, we collaborated to create some of his costumes. Here you can see one of the costumes which I am very, very proud of. We made for Astad, and this is with our signature cranes. And what Astad did was to create so much movement and form, and we wanted to show that the cranes were flying and moving with him. And I think he managed to so beautifully create that through his work. Here he kind of did a series where he shot the costume with sculptures from Arzan Khambata. So you can see the sculptures at the back, and this is what Adil was saying, like a lot of A's working together. And Asad had a way to, easily mix, and the best part about him was that he was really funny, and he was funny in a very Parsi way, and he had a great sense of humor. So one of the best stories which he always said was that one day he accompanied his father to the Bombay Parsi Panchayat office, and by then he was a known dancer. And there were these ladies who were sitting there bored out of their skulls, and it was election day, and they were sitting there bored out of their skulls. And one of the ladies recognized Astad, and she just very casually and matter of factly said, "Are Mr. Deboo ja dance karine dekha raho nahi?" So he said that through his life he would go to parties and he would go to functions, and people would very casually say, "Are ja thoda dance karine dekha raho nahi?" So he had a great sense of humor, and he was very naughty also and fun. And even in the last days, I still remember he would call everybody and he would speak. And I remember I got a call and I answered, and he said, "Are ja amna hospital ma chau, aje kale param we are going to do chemo, and then I'll be fine." And so he had a great will and perseverance, which just made him so fun to be with. And like Gulshan and others have said, he always stayed in touch with friends around the world. And I've had the pleasure of meeting him coincidentally in Ahmedabad, in Singapore. And in Singapore, he was with us at this exhibition. And there were women who had come from Bangladesh. And suddenly, Astad was speaking to them in Bengali, and they were so enamored that there was this world famous dancer who was talking to them in Bengali. So he had a way to connect people, to make them feel part of his life and connect with anybody. And in the next slide, we are going to see him dance and twirl with the costume. So Mata, so I only had the fondest memories of Astad, and I'm sure he is very busy with the gods dancing.
Thank you so much, Ashdin. And I didn't know that Astad was your courier. Uh, I didn't know this story. Okay. This is the inauguration of our Threads of Continuity program, which Dadi has already told a naughty story about. Astad was fabulous over here. He wanted to dance on the top of Matigar, but it was out of bounds. It was about to be demolished or it was about to fall down. So we had to persuade him to dance on the stage. This was a lovely program, and Astad made that evening very, very special. Thank you, Matab. Narendra ji.
This was also a costume we did. And he wanted, because the program was called Everlasting Flame, he wanted something to represent fire and move like fire. So we had done this orange and red. And the second part of the program was water. And we had done this white and blue outfit for him. So,
can we see the other slide, please, Matab? Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Ashdeen. Thank you for sharing your memories and the courier story, which I didn't know. Narendra ji, हम प्लीज आपसे थोड़ी अस्ताद जी के बारे में स्टोरीज मांग रहे हैं. प्लीज आइए. थैंक यू.
गुड इवनिंग. नमस्ते. मैं सबको प्रणाम करता हूँ. अस्ताद जी हमारे लिए बहुत महान आदमी थे. वो हमारे लिए हीरा है. तो अस्ताद जी बहुत सिंपल थे. जब वो उसने इम्फाल में आया
I think there's a problem with the sound.
His internet speed was slow. That's why it was getting jerky also.
I think sorry. I think we've had to cut that short. I'm sorry. If we can get him back, we will. Narendra ji, I want to just tell you all how proud I was at a time. This was the last performance of Astad that I saw, and I took my students to it. This was at a time, and is a time, when a lot of us do not remain unbroken and unbowed. And it was a great deal of courage was required for Astad to put up this program in Delhi in not very easy times. I believe Shamshul is in the audience. Would you like to speak a little bit before we end the program?
Sharna's Narendra is back.
Oh, Narendra is back.
Narendra is there. Yeah, Narendra is back. Narendra ji.
Narendra ji, aaiye please. We are going to end with this, so let's have Narendra ji first, please. हाँ, Narendra ji. Can we have Narendra ji, please? Narendra ji, आप बोल सकते हो? Mata?
Narendra has a problem. I'm just introducing the Manipuri work that Astad did. Long ago, Astad started working with the Manipuri artists. He went there, as you see in the pictures, he stayed with them. He had to take permission from the gurus to even do new work with these artists. And they created new work, the group. And they have traveled also all together to South America, to other places with Astad. And he took the tradition or the movements of the Manipuri dancers and created something more with it, with him in the middle. Narendra ji, aap ho वापस? Narendra ji? Anyway, so it was always extremely difficult for academies, everyone to get people from Manipur all the way to other places, train, plane, this, that, and the other. Here there is a picture of their performance where Bharavi from Bangalore had done the lights, and this is in Myanmar. Of course, below is Auroville, and The River Runs Deep was one of the main performances that he did towards the end with this group, which was at NCPA and many other places. Yeah, thank you.
So much, Dadi, for coming in. If we can get him. Okay, otherwise, let's conclude with this very brave program and a very brave comment on what was happening and what is happening.
One second. Mata, can you try unmuting Narendra? नरेंद्र आप अपना वीडियो ऑफ ही रखिएगा ताकि वो इंटरनेट कम यूज होगा आप बोलिए अनम्यूट करके
Sorry, he's not online.
Okay, then let's just take this and then we'll ask Shamshul if he can speak, please. Thank you. With this, we come to the end of our Astad.
Yeah.
If anybody would like to comment or speak or pay any tribute or share any memories, we would be happy to have you in touch with us.
Hi, my name is Shamsul और मेरा सर के साथ 14-15 साल का एक रिश्ता है जो मेरे लिए आस्ताद जी सब कुछ है एज ए फादर टीचर फ्रेंड मेंटर एवरीथिंग ये वाला जो अभी आप लोगों ने जो एक प्रोमो वीडियो देखा ये अनब्रोकन एंड बाउंड का हम लोगों ने 2019 में किया था क्रिएट किया था एनसीपीए के लिए और काफी सारे प्रोडक्शंस किए हैं 5-7 प्रोडक्शंस में मैंने उनको असिस्ट किया है और बहुत ज्यादा उनके साथ ट्रैवल किया है काफी काम किया है बहुत चीजें उन्होंने हमें सिखाई है और सीखने को मिला है हमेशा हर मोमेंट पे कुछ ना कुछ उनसे सीखने को ही मिलता है अक्सर ऐसा होता है बहुत लविंग पर्सन बहुत केयरिंग हर एक छोटी छोटी चीज के लिए आपको उस चीज का है आपके बारे में याद रखते हैं वो चीज कोई भी चीज हो वो बहुत हेल्पफुल हर चीज के लिए हर एक के लिए सबके लिए बहुत रिस्पेक्ट मेरे लिए वो सब चीज है आई मीन सब चीज क्या 2019 में ये जो अनब्रोकन अनबाउंड था, हम लोगों ने जो क्रिएट किया है, ये सर का फुल प्रोडक्शन एक लास्ट था। लॉकडाउन के दौरान भी हम लोगों ने 3-4 सीरीज किए हैं, बाउंड्रीज के नाम से, बाउंड्रीज 1, बाउंड्रीज 1.1, बाउंड्रीज 1.2, जो कि लास्ट हम लोगों ने इस साल जनवरी 10th को प्रीमियर किया था, बाउंड्रीज 1.2। और उससे कुछ हम लोग सर, मैं जानता हूँ कि क्योंकि इतने साल में सर के साथ रहा हूँ, उनको करीब से थोड़ा जानने की कोशिश की है, तो किस तरह से उनको प्रॉब्लम्स आती थी शो ऑर्गेनाइज करवाने के लिए, कहीं से फंड इकट्ठा करने के लिए, क्योंकि सर का जो प्रोडक्शन होता है काफी कॉस्टली होता है, उनके एक्सपेंसेस बहुत ज्यादा होते हैं, उनका स्टे है या कॉस्ट्यूम है, म्यूजिक है, स्टेज है, तो हर एक चीज में अच्छा पैसा लगता है। और आई नो कि वो किस तरह से मैनेज करते हैं, कितना उनको पापड़ बेलना पड़ता था, काफी सारी चीजें मुझे बताते थे वो कि क्या क्या प्रॉब्लम्स होती है एक फंडर्स को लाना। सो या दैट्स इट।
There is
थैंक यू सो मच जी। आप प्लीज हमारे साथ इन टच रहिए, और all of y'all who have memories to share, because we want to put an archive together of Astad as one of the great modern Indian pioneers of dance. And please आप लोग सब, स्पेशली उनके जो साथ काम किया था, प्लीज हमारे साथ टच में रहिए दादी सर के थ्रू। और हम पूरा ये प्रोग्राम भी तो यूट्यूब पर हम लगा रहे हैं, मगर कुछ भी और आपको शेयर करना है, कुछ भी फोटोज है, हमें एक पूरी आर्काइव करनी है अस्ताद देबू की। थैंक यू सो मच।
नरेंद्र, सॉरी, नरेंद्र इज हियर। नरेंद्र जी, आप प्लीज अनम्यूट करके बोल सकते हैं।
हाँ,
जी नरेंद्र जी।
प्लीज बोलिए नरेंद्र जी। हाँ बोलिए।
नरेंद्र जी थोड़ा लाउड बोलिए।
आई थिंक ही इज नॉट गेटिंग इंटरनेट।
कोई फोन कर सकता है उनको, फोन से बात कर सकते हैं।
नरेंद्र जी आप सुनाई दे रहे हैं आपको आवाज?
हेलो।
हाँ बोलिए।
हाँ, यस बोलिए
जी,
बोलिए।
आजकल हमारे जगह का नेटवर्क बहुत खराब हुआ, इसलिए डिस्कनेक्ट बार बार कर रहे हैं आज को, तो इसलिए सभी लोग ने मुझको माफ कीजिए। आस्ताद जी बहुत सिंपल थे कि उसने हमारे जगह इम्फाल में आते समय वो हमारे पुराने स्कूटर से आते जाते किए थे। हमारे लिए कोई फोर व्हीलर नहीं थे, इसलिए वो पुराने पुराने से पुराने स्कूटर से वो बैठकर एयरपोर्ट से होटल तक, होटल से हमारे गुरुजी के घर तक, और उस ताजी ने किसी जगह से जाना चाहता है तो उसी जगह तक वो पुराने स्कूटर से हम चलाकर उसके साथ गए थे। हेलो।
हाँ जी।
जी हाँ।
Tell him to put his video off so that we can hear him properly, because
या
that way we'll hear him at least. Yeah, thanks.
हेलो।
हाँ, बोलते जाइए बोलते जाइए।
तो अस्ताद जी बहुत प्यारा है, वो हमारे घर, हमारे इम्फाल से खाना खाते समय हमारे मणिपुरी कल्चर में जमीन पर बैठकर हाथ से खाना खाते थे। वो अगर उसने भूख किया तो किचन जाकर अपने खुद से पकाकर वो खाना खाते थे। और कभी-कभी रियाज के समय बहुत जोर से रियाज किया, इसलिए हम लंच भी भूल कर रियाज करते थे। और रियाज खत्म होने के बाद वो बहुत फ्रेंकली थे। वो हमारे साथ सोते थे, एक थाली पर हमारे साथ खाने खाते थे। वो अगर हमारे यहाँ फेस्टिवल आ जाए तो दादी ने हमारे लिए वो उसके बच्चे सोच कर हमारे कपड़े खरीद कर दिए थे। आज मैंने ये कुर्ता पहनते हैं, ये भी अस्ताद जी ने मुझे दिए थे। तो आज मैं बहुत अस्ताद जी को मिस किया, इसलिए आज मैं ये पहनता हूँ। तो पिछले साल का कोविड हमारे इम्फाल में बहुत खराब था हमारा सिचुएशन। तो किसी ने हमारे लिए, कलाकारों के लिए मदद नहीं किए थे। हम खेती भी नहीं किया, सिर्फ पुंग बजाकर हम हमारे जीवन बनाते हैं। लेकिन वो पेंडेमिक ने हम पुंग नहीं बजा सकते थे। तो उसी समय आस्था जी ने हमारे लिए बार बार मदद किए थे, बार बार फोन करके कैसे हो, क्या कर रहे हो, कुछ हो। तो उसने स्वर्गति होने के कुछ दिन पहले तक ने मुझ पर फोन करके पूछा था और मदद करने के लिए कहते थे। मैंने शर्म होकर नहीं मदद नहीं करने के लिए मैं बोला था। तो वो उसी समय वो बहुत गुस्से थे, क्योंकि नरेंद्र, मैं आपके पिता हूँ, पिता जैसा सोचो। मैं आप सबको बहुत प्यार करता हूँ, आप सब लोग मेरे बच्चे हैं, इसलिए मैं आप सबके लिए मदद कर रहा हूँ नरेंद्र, ऐसे बार बार बोलते थे अस्ताद जी। तो हमारे लिए बहुत महान आदमी वो हो गए। तो हमने अस्ताद जी के लिए कोई नहीं कर सकते थे। इसमें तो इसलिए मैं अस्ताद जी की आत्मा ने प्रगति ईश्वर की चरण तक रहने के लिए हम यहाँ से अस्ताद जी के श्राद्धा बना
बहुत शुक्रिया
करता
नरेंद्र।
हूँ। एक मंदिर में जाकर मैं कुछ दान किए थे। हेलो
हाँ जी,
जी,
थैंक यू नरेंद्र जी।
जी, हेलो
हाँ जी, बोलिए। नरेंद्र जी, थैंक यू वेरी मच।
हेलो
थैंक यू वेरी मच नरेंद्र जी, सुनाई दे रहा है? अब हम
हेलो
लास्ट में आस्था जी का एक छोटा क्लिप दिखाएंगे। Thank you very much, all of you, for being with us. And please, as I said, do continue to share your memories on our YouTube page or on the Facebook page, and Kritika will give you the address. Thank you so much. Thank you, Dadi. Thank you, everybody who has spoken. Thank you, Adil. And thank you, Narendra ji. Thank you, Shamshul. Thank you, everyone. And okay, Dodo, thank you very much too.
She did it.
Thank you. And Adil, I love that little kitten you have with you.
That's not a kitten, it's a fat cat. His name is Sabi.
Oh,
Well, I do like Faridun actually. It sounds much better. I've just got
well, it
lumped with
sounds
Dodo all my life. It's
I know, it's such a lovely name.
a
Okay.
beautiful sound to it. Yeah. Thank you, Shenaz. Thanks for everything.
We need to thank Mahatab, who's sitting in Spain, and Kritika, and all the others who at the back end have helped us with this, putting all this together. Thank you very much from Parzo.
Thank you.
And just a little bit about the clip. We found this VHS yesterday, which is 30 years old, in very strange condition. We didn't even know what was in it. This was a Thanatomorphia clip, and Dushyant from Martyrs has helped us to digitize it. So in the beginning, I don't remember, the sound was something else. So let's see, whatever there is. So it's just a beautiful memory from 30 years ago, where puppets and dance came together, and then dance with puppets.
And thank you, Sana.
With Vanraj Bhatia's recitation from Discovery of India.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night. Thanks all, and God bless. Thank you, Gulshan. I hope that brought back happy memories. And I hope Kamal has also been on, and Xerxes, I didn't thank you. God bless everyone. Thank you. I know Astad is dancing.